From the Corner Office is brought to you by Synovus Bank, championing business growth through trusted relationship-driven banking throughout the Gulf Coast region. On this week's episode of From the Corner Office, we are speaking with Sophia Shaw, who co-founded a for-profit business that helps nonprofits use artificial intelligence and other software to write strategic plans. In this work, Sophia melds a lot of disciplines together. The Business Observer also melds lots of topics together, writing about for-profits, nonprofits, trends, and more that both drive the region's economy and inform and inspire readers. To read those stories and more, subscribe to the Business Observer. Go to businessobserverfl.com to sign up. Hello, and welcome to the Business Observer's From the Corner Office podcast. I'm Mark Gordon, managing editor of the Business Observer. Today's guest is Sophia Shaw, co-founder of PlanPerfect. Sophia, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So we're going to get into PlanPerfect and kind of what that is and what its niche is, and we're going to talk to you about leadership. You've done a lot of different leadership things in your career. We're going to get into that. But before that, let's get our audience to know you a little bit with 3 rapid fire questions.
All right.
What, or who I should say, was your first concert?
This is a good one. Jethro Tull. I was 10 years old. So 10 for the younger people out there may not know who Jethro Tull is. It's not the appropriate concert for a 10-year-old. But my best friend at the time's father worked as a DJ on the local Chicago rock station. And his name's John Records Landecker, really famous DJ actually. And he got tickets and we went. So I thought that, wow, I was going to a concert, but that was mind blowing.
That's pretty awesome. That's a great rock concert to start. Jethro Tull, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the best or your favorite meal that you cook or can prepare?
Thanksgiving. I can knock Thanksgiving out of it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It just comes so naturally, bringing everything together. Don't need recipes. Not perfection. It's about the energy in it.
Yeah. Is it a big Thanksgiving gathering at the Shaw household?
We try to take in people who may not have other places to go. So sometimes it's really small, sometimes it's really big. And I can go vegan, I can make it all traditional American, put some Indian spices in there, whatever it is. Thanksgiving for sure.
Awesome. All right, and a new question in our rapid fire series, because AI has been on my mind a lot lately. So I am curious, have you used AI or ChatGPT in the past week for work or anything in your life? And if so, what have you used it for?
Well, PlanPerfect is an AI-enabled software tool. So I use it every day, all day. It's part of my work. It's part of the work that we do to help nonprofits make strategic plans.
Swear I didn't set that up on purpose, but now that you mentioned PlanPerfect,
right.
Sophia, tell us about PlanPerfect. I know you work a little bit in Naples and spent some time in Chicago as well. Tell us about PlanPerfect and what that organization and entity is and what it's about.
Sure. PlanPerfect works now all over the world. We are a software that helps small to mid-sized nonprofits, but it could also work for large nonprofits, create strategic plans. So a strategic plan is like a business plan for nonprofits. And so we help organizations create clear, focused plans that they can then communicate easily with their donors, the beneficiaries of their work. And the format allows for updates. So as needs evolve, as the world evolves, the plan can remain useful and current.
How did you get into, I know you've done some things in marketing and Chicago Botanical Gardens as well. You've had a kind of varied career. How did you get into starting PlanPerfect?
I've been in the nonprofit sector my entire career. In fact, even my parents were involved in civic work when I was growing up. So it's been very part of my my background. And I had this life's goal of being the head of a large cultural organization and became the CEO of the Chicago Botanical Garden, which is one of the largest botanic gardens in the world. I was there for about 10 years and left the garden and went to teach at Kellogg at Northwestern. It's the business school of Northwestern. I ran their nonprofit governance program. So it's called Kellogg Board Fellows, or now Golub Capital Fellows. And so in that program, we worked with hundreds of nonprofits, and saw through that experience, and then also being a volunteer, board member, et cetera, that there was a real problem for nonprofits to make strategic plans, that it's hard, it's expensive. People really put this on their shoulders, but everybody needs a plan. You don't go out of your house and say, "Oh, I have no idea where I'm going," and just hope you're going to get someplace. You need to have a plan to get to where you're going, or else you're not going to get there. So my co-founder, who actually was my student, and then he and I did some important consulting work together for a client. His background's in the tech sector, and mine is deeply embedded in the nonprofit sector. And we came together and we made this great software that is really transforming the way that small nonprofits make plans. We have a number of clients in Southwest Florida, Chicago, Alaska. We have one in Canada, and they do work all over the world.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, and as we wrote about in the Business Observer regarding PlanPerfect, it's, as you just kind of mentioned, it's that kind of essential thing that sometimes nonprofits, small ones, even as you said, big ones, can't get to, and you guys are sort of filling that gap.
Right. So the software takes you through the whole process, from planning the plan. So it sounds ridiculous so that you have to plan, but
You do.
you have to plan to plan. You have to make sure that you
Yes.
know what you're doing, why you're doing it, with whom you're doing it, and so it goes from that very to-do task list part, which is actually free on our platform. So we don't charge people just to plan. It's called Organize, to doing comprehensive surveys, creating a strategic plan, reviewing it, and then having a dashboard with metrics that then people can use to track their progress. And AI is integrated into each one of those steps, except for the Organize one. So it's like, I always think of it like a egg beater. Like, AI can take over your world, and it maybe doesn't create the best things when you allow it to do so. But when you use it as a tool, like a power drill, like an egg beater, like in little pieces here and there and there, it really, really can help facilitate the work that you're doing.
Yeah, excellent. I want to shift gears a little bit, Sophia. I want to talk about leadership. You've taught a lot about leadership, talked a lot about it, and kind of worked in that space. What is one characteristic you think every leader needs to have?
Every leader needs to have both this idea about the strategy, but also know what it takes to execute. So there's that old adage of people starting in the mailroom and then working their way up. And there are a lot of people who have done that. I know a wonderful leader who became chairman and CEO of US Bancorp. He started as a teller. So I started in the mailroom as it was the shipping clerk. That was my first real job. And I was winter 1992, and it was really cold in Chicago. And the only job I could get, and there was a bit of a recession at that point, was to help unload the trucks and do shipping manifests on a dock of an auction house that sold art. And I really understood exactly what it took to do the work at the very core of the organization, not the marketing, not the leadership, not the finances, but the work of it. So the key characteristic is both knowing the top and the bottom, really understanding everything it takes to get the work done, and knowing then the strategy why, because some people have all the strategy, all these ideas, and they can't get anything done. So both are really important.
Yeah, so talk about that why, right? You have to know kind of what drives you, your North Star, your mission. I mean, how has that evolved for you, that process to know your why as a leader?
It's really embedded in my being that I want to make the world a better place, and looking out for the common good. Every single decision we make in our lives to me, should be led by looking out for the greater good, the common good, to offer stability and fairness, predictability, rule following. And I don't say that to say that we shouldn't be bold and disrupt. I think that we can, and that companies, really great companies, are disruptors in their field. But a person, in my mind, shouldn't be. That my North Star is trying to embed everything I do with the best of intent, and also looking at other people's points of view. Yes, I fail. We all fail, but that's my North Star.
Yeah. Is there an example of where you failed at something that sort of stands out in your mind that you learned a lot from?
Yeah, I think that I didn't always take other people's views into account as well as I could. And that's something I'm really learning. I once, in the nonprofit world, we ask people to be life directors or honorary directors when they get to a certain point or a certain age. And one of the things I regret most is when I went to say to one of our older donors when I was at the Chicago Botanical Garden to invite him to become a life director. He was maybe 90, 80, late in his late 80s. And he said, Sophia, I know you intend this to be a nice thing, that you are coming from a good place in yourself, but you've really hurt my feelings. Like, you really just made me feel that you've put me out to pasture. Like, I have no usefulness anymore. And wow, I mean, that is really relevant to your audience too. A lot of people come to Southwest Florida after retiring from their jobs and are on nonprofit boards. And I think we have a lot of people in our community with so much good to give to our businesses and nonprofits, and we still need to figure out the best way of doing that without by engaging them in the right way.
Yeah. Talk about as a leader, one of the things, and this isn't that exact example, just a great story you just told, but conflict comes up, right? Especially at Chicago Botanical Garden, you're there 10 years, you saw big growth at that organization. Things are going to come up that are going to be frisky or just not smooth and easy, right? As a leader, how do you handle conflict and difficult situations?
I go back to the strategic plan. I go back to, what is our mission? What are our values? And who are we intending to serve? So it actually goes back to your previous question about how, the biggest mistakes and the biggest strengths that I've had in my life have all about been how I've succeeded when I've been able to really understand what we were trying to do and who we were trying to serve, and put my decision making rubric through their eyes. And the times I have fallen short is when I haven't done that. And that doesn't mean we need to be people pleasers and try to make everybody happy all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But trying to do your best to take all of the common good into account, and then to make a decision is my way to go. I mean, there was a lot of conflict among people, like there always is in every situation, in every job I've always been in, and I found that to be being a unifier.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have the right attitude, as you're saying, if you have the right disposition and mindset on it. Otherwise, it could go the opposite, right?
Right. And I also feel that you have to remain, I mean, I always try to remain a stable human, a stable woman character, in that, sure, I become emotional. I have all those, human characteristics, but it doesn't help your team as a leader to be quote unquote freaking out. It doesn't help your leader. It doesn't help your team. It doesn't help your cause to air every single one of your own anxieties and your own all the time. It just they want to. Most people really want to go to work and know what they have to do it, and then be told good job or good job and you could improve next time. They don't want to be a part of all of that conflict.
Yeah, that's so important, right? I think about it as a parallel to parenting. As I mentioned off air to you, we have a 17-year-old. We're here in mid-September, and he's applying to colleges, and freakouts are happening a lot in our house. And, my wife and I are like, we got to stay calm in the face of his freakouts and not and join him on it, and he'll get through this, right? You have to show that as a leader.
Right, right. And also, I mean, and not freak out ourselves and not expose to our children or to our staff our own anxieties. Like, oh my gosh, you're never going to get into college. You're never going to find your passion. You're never going to find oh, I'm so worried about it because I'm going to be old one day and then you're not going to be able to support. I mean, that's not appropriate to tell the 17-year-old who's applying to college. And I think we can take that into the workplace as well, because if I go into a staff meeting, like, I don't know if I can make payroll. I don't know. You know, that's not helping anybody do their jobs.
Right, for sure. So going back to sort of your leadership sort of life in your career, I should say, who influenced you the most in terms of, either mentors, real people, your parents, or just books, things you've learned? What are some of your leadership influences, Sophia?
I've been really fortunate that at a young age I had mentors, bosses who would take me places with them and expose me to whether that's travel or meetings at a much higher level than I was at professionally. So whether that's being trusted, either taking me with them or sending me out on my own to be independent. So when I was at the Field Museum in Chicago, I was vice president of all the exhibitions, education programs in the library. And it was at a time where we were putting together traveling exhibitions from all over the world. I mean, all over the world. So I ended up in China at the Forbidden City, sitting next to the head of the entire Forbidden City Museum, negotiating exhibitions from their treasures in Beijing. And I was in Pompeii at working with the head of Italian antiquities, and I mean, all over the world. And so the leadership traits that I really have taken as part of that mentorship is being clear about what is the expectation, but then setting the employee free. And the mentors that I worked with, both the Field Museum, Chicago Botanical Garden, and everywhere in between, that the Art Institute, Museum of Contemporary Art, really let me do that. Just go. You can do it. Go. And so I try to put that into my leadership as well.
Yeah. So you had it by example. How do you handle, switching to something else, how do you handle if it's come up over your career, imposter syndrome? How do you handle the idea that, maybe you're not as good as some people say, or it comes up a decent amount on this podcast and just in life? How do you handle that?
I think I wear my heart on my sleeve. And when that comes up, I'm honest about it. And it interestingly doesn't happen that often, I think, because I try to verbalize in those moments that I'm feeling like I'm punching below my weight. Is that the saying? Yeah. And so I tend to then breathe and use words to say, Mark, I'm feeling really nervous about being on your show. And something about actually just saying it helps. Like, oh, I don't feel like I deserve it. So it actually happened a couple of weeks ago. I did work a lot with athletes in triathlons who have disabilities. So I'll either guide or help them one of the legs. But it turned out that no one was able to do or interested in doing the swim in the Chicago Triathlon. So I did this swim portion of the Chicago Triathlon for 2 relay teams of athletes with disabilities. And I swim all the time. I'm a great open water swimmer. I guide athletes in it, but I was out there without an athlete. I was doing it on my own. And all of a sudden I had this imposter syndrome. I had total panic attack, which does not happen. I said, maybe, what am I doing out here? Like, who am I to be doing this swim for these incredible people? I just all of a sudden, and that was the imposter syndrome just attacking. And what I had to do is actually just talk to myself in the water with all these, swimmers. So it happens.
Self-affirmation is really important, right? Like, you can do this, you can do hard things. It sounds simple, but I think that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. And also just from a physical point of view, expressing the words gets the air out. It gets the carbon dioxide out of your body and allows you to take clean oxygen in. And if by even just saying it, even if it's under your breath, or sometimes I would go, like if I got really nervous or felt really like an imposter or something, I'd go into the restroom and just sort of talk or breathe. Getting that out of your body goes a long way.
Yeah. Switching gears on leadership. One last question on leadership. What do you look for in good leaders? Whether you're working with somebody in a project, bringing somebody on, promoting somebody in previous jobs where you had a big staff under you. What do you look for in good leaders?
I look for skills that they have, that the combination of all the personality traits that we've talked about in this conversation so far, whether that's trust or stability and good-heartedness, desire to have impact in the world, no matter what that is. It doesn't have to be in a nonprofit, it can be in a for-profit, but having positive impact, like the work you're doing, you're bringing important messages out to the public, important community building. So looking for that, but also looking for real skills. I need people who are good writers, who take initiative. I think taking the initiative is something that's incredibly important to me. We have so many people who just like, what do you want me to do next? Or like, you come up with the ideas of what you think we should do next and let's do it. So people who move a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Exactly.
All right. So as we're winding down, getting into the fourth quarter here, Sophia, what's the plan at PlanPerfect? What are you looking forward to? You and Adam, your co-founder, what are you excited about going into next year?
Yeah, Adam and I we've actually gotten 2 clients in the last 2 days. So it may be a third today from Southwest Florida, and I'm particularly excited about working with them. And so what we're trying to do, and Adam came up with this word of annual recurring impact. So we're a SaaS company, so software as a service company, and the term that people use to figure out, like, are you doing well or not, is ARR, annual recurring revenue. So our ARR is growing very, very nicely. But what we're really trying to find is that intersection between ARR, the annual recurring revenue, and this thing that Adam came up with is annual recurring impact. Because in every single business, whether it's a for-profit, nonprofit, there has to be this intersection of the two in order both make money to thrive, and every nonprofit or for-profit needs to make money in order to be high impact, but also do good for the world. Really, we all need some sweetness and kindness and goodness right now. So the more positive impact that we can have and have a viable, thriving company, the better. That's what we're really looking forward to.
Excellent. I love it. Well, we're going to keep tabs on what you guys are doing. It's a really interesting concept you have at PlanPerfect. Sophia Shaw, co-founder of PlanPerfect, thank you so much for joining us on the From the Corner Office podcast.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you for listening to the Business Observer From the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Mark Gordy. This podcast was produced by Reed Corley of the Corley Company in Sarasota. To hear more episodes of From the Corner Office podcast, go to businessobserverfl.com.